Yep.
Hey, all right. So, what is soteriology? If somebody could just run that down for me, make sure we're all on the same page. What is that? The study of salvation. Okay. And within the soteriology, you're going to have two major themes. You're going to have one. Well, let me see if you guys kind of remember. You're going to have two opposing themes. And these themes kind of direct what your thought is. And whenever you have some thought, it's going to follow one of these themes. So the first belief system for soteriology, when we're saved, we're talking about how we're saved, is what? No, that's not soteriology. Right, that's a position. Huh? Elect? No. Well, okay, but define it a little bit.
We made a decision to accept God.
Free will. Mm-hmm. Okay. Brittany don't even go to the class.
Child.
Don't pay attention. It's a fact. We'll let it out to you.
Yes.
Okay. So you have free will, and I guess the antithesis or the opposing view of free will would be what?
Predestination.
Predestination.
I know some stuff.
Okay, so whenever we're looking at salvation and trying to understand where we fall in, ultimately it's going to fall into one of these two categories. Either we're saying we believe in free will when it comes to salvation, or we believe in predestination when it comes to salvation. Hey, Dwayne. Hey. How you doing? Mr. Dorothea? Okay, so we have any questions on that so far? Got it? Okay, so run it back to me. Now we'll slow down again. What is soteriology? Yeah.
Study of salvation.
Okay, good. And within the study of salvation, we have two predominant themes. And the first one being free will, the second one being predestination. Those two are in opposition to one another. One is I make the choice. The other is God predestined me to make the choice. So when we're looking at salvation, we're trying to see which one we would fall in. So when we look at free will, who would have been the father of this? Where did this somewhat originate?
That I know.
Okay, tell me.
I forgot his name. Wait a minute, give me a minute.
Would your teacher give you credit if you said that in school? I know the answer, but what is it? I forgot.
The other one is the Charles Jacobus.
Okay, all right. He said Jacobus. Somebody give me his last name then. Got it. Jacobus Arminius. And tell me a little bit about him. Anyone remember the time frame of when he lived?
15th, 16th century?
Good. So not the 15th, 16th century. But this would be more the 16th and the 17th century, right? And it's important that we know this because what took place in the 16th century? The Reformation. Okay, so we know that was in the 16th. We're now in the 17th. So Jacob Arminius was a Dutch pastor. He was following Theodore Beza. We learned a little bit about Beza. Then Beza was a follower of Calvin. John Calvin was contemporary, of course, of Martin Luther. We're talking about the great reformers. And Beza, who also believed in predestination, Jacob Arminius was following that. You want to say something?
It's his faith system or his thought process comes from Pelagius, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll go into that a little bit in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Good.
So Arminius is free will and not predestination?
That's right.
Okay.
You had it in the wrong spot before?
Yeah, because I thought that Arminian was being the chosen, the elect. Is that right?
No.
Okay.
That's free will. Okay?
Chosen elect is free will?
No. Chosen and elect will be predestined. predestination. Just the fact that you were chosen
Right.
versus I chose.
Right.
So it's just depending on where you are as far as salvation. Okay? So he began as a follower of predestination. But the more he studied it, the more he said, wait a minute, I see something different. And I'm moving away from predestination, and I'm seeing more of a free will when it comes to the Lord. So we know that we talked about that. The Synod of Dort in 1618 condemned this as heretical. So this was not accepted by the church. Okay? But that's just a decision that was made at that time. Now, extreme form of this is just like what Minister Kai said, which is Pelagianism, which is around the 4th century. Somebody tell me about this. You remember that? Deacon Hank, Pelagianism, Elder Wayne, Pelagianism. Tell us, Geneva, you had it in your notes?
I didn't find it yet, but
Okay. Go off the top of your head. You can just throw some stuff out.
it was I am or some. Was it like
I think no, that's you think of Rene Descartes, philosopher. Okay. But Pelagianism starts with a neutral position. In other words, man isn't totally depraved. Man can make a choice. Man starts with a clean slate. Right? It's not that I was born a sinner. I was born able to sin, and I was born able not to sin. So that is Pelagianism. You guys remember we talked about that? Okay, so if you can write that down, so you had that. All right, and then from there, this is where Arminianism, or Jacob Arminius, picked this up. Now, right from here, we move from Arminianism, that being condemned, they said, no, the 16th century, we reject that. You got to go. Can't stay in Geneva. You got to move on out. But then later on, there was a great man of God, John Wesley. We talked about him as we were closing out our last session before. Somebody remember John Wesley? He had a brother. What was his brother's name? Been a while, huh? Let's see. I went away for the camp before Halloween. So it's probably been September since we had one of these classes, right? Got to bring everything back. But that's why we have our notes. You can't remember all of this stuff. What happened around the time when I went to camp anyway? What happened around the time of what we celebrate Halloween, the 31st of October in the 16th century?
Massacre?
His brother's name was Charles.
You just gonna forget my other book. I got something. All right, I'm gonna come back. That is correct.
that
Very
was
good.
the start of the Reformation?
That was the start of the Reformation. That was October 31st. Can't forget that. On Halloween, right? And that was by whom?
Martin Luther.
Martin Luther. Okay, so we nailed the
99 Theses.
99?
95.
95?
90.
I think it's
93 or
93.
95?
I think it's
I
95.
know it wasn't 99.
No,
That
95.
was Jay-Z's song. Wasn't it? All right, so what was I going to write here? What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about John Wesley. All right. And you said his brother's name was what?
Charles.
Lee. Wesley. And we were riding down the road and we saw Wesleyan University. They had one down, it was in Virginia, right? And they have another one where? Middletown, Connecticut. Okay, so John Wesley, he's around the 17th, 18th century. And what did John Wesley and his brother and George Whitefield, remember those were the three? They moved away and they said that we're understanding that free will is a part of salvation, but it's a little different because we understand that we don't have the will. We don't have the mindset to turn away from God. So they introduced something else when it comes to soteriology. What was that called? It was something that would enable us to be able to accept the Lord.
The prevenient grace.
Very good. It's Patty Rowland. Prevenient grace. Tell me a little bit about that. Get back.
All I have here on my notes is that we can change.
Okay, that's good enough. Somebody else have anything to add? We're talking about prevenient grace.
have remonstrant and free will?
Okay, but the remonstrance would have been a little bit further up, but that just was the protesters against the protesters. That would have been around, I guess it would have been any of the followers behind Jacob or Arminius. But the prevenient grace is a grace that, yes.
It's kind of a covenant that would give you and more grace to come to the Lord for Him to accept you.
Okay. So this was the grace needed to have faith. All right? Everybody have that? So without that, you really couldn't come, but God gave that to everybody, so we can have that grace. Now, part of the great revival in America was a part of the John Wesley movement. John, Charles, and George Whitefield movement. One of their big keys was they preached outside. That wasn't a part of the normal preaching. They also they allowed unordained people to preach. So just like we do here, Sister Pat, you can go out and witness. Minister Kaiser, he can hang, even though